Jimmy from ConstructionCogs. Just wanted to have a little chat about working in the wind. If you do ever want to get into the industry, crane driving in particular, or even slinging, this will also apply to you as well. You have to deal with working in winds of all kinds. Sometimes the winds are too much for you to work in, but sometimes they're borderline and they're just difficult to work in. And sometimes you'll be pressured into doing this in these winds. At the end of the day, it's your ticket, so you can refuse to do the lifting. If it's doable, but how can I put this? If it's borderline and you think it's doable safely, then it's your discretion. But you have to remember, it is your ticket. Now these people, subbies or whoever, will push you to do stuff in the wind. It will happen. So at the moment I'm going to be installing glass panels. Now the company I'm doing it with, their lift plan states that the limit for lifting glass panels is 45 kilometers an hour. I think it works out at about, what's that work out, about 29 miles an hour, I think. And that is absolutely ridiculous. There is absolutely no way in the world any crane driver should be operating, installing glass panels in that wind. So that figure on that lift plan isn't specific. It isn't task specific. That is just across the board for all their stuff. So they just take it upon themselves to say, well, this is our limit. You know, this is what you can lift to. No, it's up to the driver. It's driver's discretion. We will sign lift plans to say that you can't lift glass in over 28 kilometers an hour, and that's pretty, for me, that's pretty standard. I don't like lifting glass in over 28 kilometers an hour. Here at the moment, with this lift plan in place, I might go to 29, 30, you know, depending on where it is, because you get wind channels. If you're out in the open, you might be in trouble. Where I'm here in Stratford, this is quite open. Now this, for some reason, picks up a lot of wind. Well, for some reason, I just told you why, it's quite open. But also you get a little channel, so there's a channel between two buildings to my right, two buildings over the other side of this building where I'm lifting now, and to the left of the building as well. So, you know, you've just got to be strong, you've just got to be firm. If you're not comfortable and you feel like you can't do it, or if it is over the limit, just don't do it. For instance, now, as you can see on the forward facing cam there, the hook block is right over the other side of the building, so it's blind lifting. I'm at 42.5 meters, so almost maximum radius. I've got 45 meters on the jib. When it's like that, you're going to be catching crosswinds. I was doing this the other day and I was having a little bit of trouble. It was borderline, and I kept dropping down. After a while I thought, well, okay, we'll have a go now, and then as soon as I attach to the load again, it picks up again, and that's just sort of law that happens all the time as well. But where I am now, I was getting winds coming from right to the left, so that's a crosswind across the jib, and what that does is that pushes the jib that way to the left, which in turn moves the hook block to the left, which in turn swings the load, and that's not ideal. So, you know, this is not the ideal scenario to be working in the wind at this sort of radius, particularly on the blind, because you can't really see what you're doing. I'm lucky that I've got a block camera, so I can see down there. Yeah, so as I say, you know, it's a tricky one. I would rather it just be blowing over and just be too much, say no, or getting hardly any wind, so you can just do it. When it's borderline, like I had the other day, it's an absolute headache, because you get people come up the top and go, oh, that's not windy, that's not too bad, what's the problem? but the lads doing the work, they know that it's a bit too much. You get management on site, like the contractor, the main contractor, say, well, we need this done, you know, it's not bad, can you do it? So you've got to be strong. But I do like to try and make an effort. So like I said, monitor it. I was monitoring it the other day all the time, so if it's like half an hour worth of dropping down with no gusts, okay, give it a little go. But as I said, as soon as I attached onto the loader and lifted it up, the wind picked up. And the thing is, once it's in the air and it's off of their launching bay, you know, you're kind of committed then. You can get stuck. It's happened to me before on this one as well. This, you know, it dropped down, went ahead, said let's give it a go now. Took it off the launching pad, was just about to take it up into move it around to the left hand side of the building to put it on the brackets to install, and it went up to about 45k. And this was on screens, not just panels. This was on screens. It was a big, they're like 14 meters by 3.5, 4 meters, so it's a wide surface area, it's a big surface area. And I was getting caught out there, so I had to bring it all the way round from the far edge of the building round to the left flank on the blind, keeping it inside the boundary. I had about 3 meters to play with, I suppose, maybe a bit more, not much more if any. Bring it all the way from maximum radius all the way around the building to minimum radius, so to slew round to the left, keeping it inside the boundary, and then land it down into the pit lane. So I was at minimum radius, and I just had to go for it. You know, like I said, you just committed. Once it picks up, you're committed. You just got to go for it. I suppose I could have brought it up and landed it on the roof, but there was nowhere to land it.
Yeah, I just said Suki on the radio, not on the radio, on the phone there, Jim.
2 secs, Dave, I'll be with you in a sec, mate. Suki, another driver that, well, I won't say too much about it, but he's not with the firm anymore. Anyway, yeah, so what happened then was, because I was at minimum radius, the wind caught it, and swung it inwards, swung it right in towards me, and it was about a foot away from hitting the tower, hitting the mast of the crane. Because I'm at minimum radius, the jib goes into a creep mode, so you can't really, well, you've got no speed on it really. You can't jib out quickly to get you out of trouble. It's just really slow, so you can't catch swings on it properly. So I just had to jib out and then let it go. It goes into normal speed about 10 meters, so as soon as it went into that, just fire it out away from me and get it on the ground. If it was an inexperienced driver, it could have been a lot of problems, because it causes problems for the slingers, for the driver. No, if you're on the roof, the slingers holding onto the tag lines, they can be dragged off the roof. They can get burn marks on the hands where they're holding onto it. Some of them wrap it around their hands, which isn't ideal. They get dragged around the roof, so people fall over, get pulled into things. Yeah, it's just not good. So you do have to be careful, and you don't have to be forced into doing anything you don't want to do. Hope that's been helpful. That's enough from me. See you soon.